Are you afraid of having a marriage green card interview? But what if getting your interview waived could actually be a bad thing? By the end of this video, you will learn why skipping the stressful marriage green card interview can actually lead to situations where you arrive at your naturalization interview only to learn that the USCIS is now revoking your green card because of a mistake that wasn't discovered earlier. We've helped tons of couples navigate this journey effectively, whether they got their interview waived, like Fabi here, or they were scheduled for an interview but were able to confidently and successfully handle that experience, like Loretto here. If you're struggling to find the right solution for your marriage green card needs, you can speak to us directly by using the link in the description below. Now, let's dive into the first thing you need to know. Traditionally, every marriage-based green card applicant was required to go through an interview as a part of the approval process. Recently, to help clear out the massive case backlog, the Biden administration made several changes that enabled waiving these interviews for most marriage-based green card applicants. This may change with the Trump administration, but either way, you'll want to understand the impact of later stage interviews on your marriage immigration journey to ensure you arrive at your desired final destination. So, while skipping the initial interview may seem like a relief, there is actually a catch. And that is that delaying the interview can actually add pressure during later stages. If you don't have an interview at the green card stage, you're still required to interview during either the removal of conditions or naturalization stages. Interviews at these later stages actually carry increased scrutiny, and by then, the USCIS has also gathered more information on your case in order to make their final determination. Meaning, the longer you wait for an interview, the more intense that it can feel, especially considering that all of the years you've already spent moving through the immigration system, as well as the direction of yours and your spouse's futures, will hinge on this first interview with an agency that's specifically set up to view each case and couple as suspicious. This isn't to scare you. Really, it's an actual reality of going through the US immigration process. And that is why it is so important to have all of your ducks in a row, which means having a thorough understanding of this journey and taking specific actions to protect yourselves. That's why we're sharing an important protective step at the end of this video that you'll want to write down and remember for when the time comes. With that, there are 3 specific challenges of later stage interviews. First, waiting for an interview leads to months, even years of suspense. The uncertainty can be stressful, especially when you're unsure what the USCIS will focus on. Second, by the removal of conditions or naturalization stages, the stakes feel higher. The USCIS considers your accumulated history and is making final decisions, while more of your time, energy, and hopes have already been invested, heightening the pressure. And third, for interviews at these later stages, you'll need documentation covering both your initial green card and, depending on the stage you're at, your removal of condition and/or naturalization applications, doubling and even tripling the preparation needed. This extra preparation will help you to stay calm under pressure and properly articulate yourself under stress, whether you're applying it to yourself or it's being applied by the USCIS. Now, if this sounds like a lot to handle, we hear you. We've been you, and we're here to help. Booking a call with our team will allow us to discuss how our program can fully support you at every step from start to finish. We provide structured guidance to help you stay organized, prepared, and confident for each stage of your marriage immigration journey. So don't delay yourself any longer and click below to schedule a call. Now, another major downside of skipping the initial interview is that mistakes in your application can easily go unnoticed. When an application skips the interview, errors that could have been clarified or corrected are often missed by the USCIS. Although conditional or even permanent residency is beneficial, the end goal is naturalization, where you no longer have to deal or worry about immigration requirements. If a mistake from the initial green card stage goes unnoticed, it could come up during the naturalization interview, when the USCIS does a final review of your entire immigration history. Imagine getting close to naturalization only to realize that an error in your initial application now jeopardizes your future plans. Why are unrecognized errors such a problem? Depending on how material an error was made, the USCIS may not only deny your naturalization, but could also question your green card approval, risking the revocation of your status. This risk underscores why it is so important, first, to understand the entire marriage immigration journey and how each step connects from start to finish, but also to address any issues as soon as possible and keep your case strong from the very beginning. This risk also underscores why you should watch until the end of this video, where we'll be sharing when is the best time during the process to address mistakes and how to address them. More than risks and consequences associated with avoiding your interview, there's another much less acknowledged issue. And that is that missing the initial interview is also missing the chance to get comfortable with the USCIS interview process. An early interview helps couples understand the structure, expectations, and types of questions asked by USCIS officers. It's also an opportunity to prove the legitimacy of your relationship directly to the USCIS officer, which can create a positive bias associated with your case and relieve some of your fear and uncertainty for future interactions with this agency. Without this experience, couples often feel more anxious when it's time for the removal of conditions or naturalization interviews, as they haven't had the chance to practice, gain confidence, or truly know what to expect in the interview setting, both from the government and/or from themselves. And now finally, let's address protecting yourself from mistakes. If there are errors in your application, there are 3 possible times when you might discover them, each with its own set of challenges. First is before approval. This is the best case scenario because you have the chance to proactively address the mistake with the USCIS. And by being proactive, you don't allow the seeds of fraud and misrepresentation to take root and jeopardize your immigration journey. Taking careful, honest steps from the beginning helps you build a strong case, minimizing any doubts the USCIS may have about your intentions or eligibility. In this situation, you might consider creating an errata sheet to address the discovered error. In the sheet, you'd list the error and its correction, which you can submit to the USCIS along with any necessary documentation. This errata sheet shows the USCIS that you took responsibility and were transparent, which can ease any concerns during future stages. The second time you can discover an error is actually after approval of your initial green card. Discovering an error after approval is certainly less ideal, but it's still manageable. You may need to bring up this error in the removal of conditions or naturalization stages, using it as an opportunity to clarify and provide any additional documentation. Here, you'd still want to address the error using an errata sheet. You can update your online account to address the issue or provide it with your removal of conditions or naturalization applications. By doing this, you continue to maintain transparency and honesty, which creates a more positive bias for the future determination of your marriage immigration journey. Depending on the type of mistake, you also want to consult with an immigration attorney to ensure you're not jeopardizing yourself or doing something wrong. You may be sitting there thinking, but the USCIS also missed the error when they approved me, so it's really on them, right? And you'd be correct. The USCIS did make a mistake, but ultimately the outcome of your marriage immigration journey is on you. The USCIS makes mistakes all the time, but the only people who are affected are the immigrant couples themselves. This is why it is so important to understand that you must proactively navigate this process from the moment you've launched your application. And finally, the last opportunity you have to address any unnoticed errors is during the interview itself. This scenario can be the most stressful, as it places you in a high-pressure situation where an unaddressed error may raise red flags with the USCIS and lead to questioning. And as mentioned before, this questioning doesn't just entail direct questioning of you, but can even extend to questioning whether you should have been awarded your green card and other immigration benefits in the first place. In this situation, typically one of 2 things have happened. First, you completed and attempted to provide an errata sheet. Second, you're being made aware of the error for the first time. If you're in the first situation, having your errata sheet and proof of delivery or notification that you sent it to the USCIS can be invaluable. This shifts the burden to the USCIS by demonstrating that you proactively discovered and attempted to resolve the issue. Not to mention, having the sheet and proof with you allows you to have a reference to lean on in case you start feeling extremely nervous or the USCIS officer uses the error as an excuse to become aggressive. But under the second situation, your best approach is to be honest and attempt to work with the officer to find a solution. And under these circumstances, the assistance of an experienced lawyer or law firm may be necessary. Ultimately, no matter when an error is found, being proactive and honest helps keep your case strong and shows the USCIS that you're committed to transparency and compliance. And finally, here's a key takeaway to know before you do anything. This entire process goes way beyond just filling out forms. Even if you prepare everything perfectly, mistakes can still happen even on the USCIS's end, as we saw with a recent member who received an erroneous NOID, because the USCIS reviewed only a fraction of the evidence that they provided. But the best part was that with our program, they were able to fully handle this situation in only 9 days, completely by themselves. Being prepared with guidance and support can make all of the difference when facing these challenges, especially the interview. Confidence is key to staying focused and clear under stress, and confidence comes from knowing this journey inside and out. And that's why I think Loretto's interview here would be a great video to check out next. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.